Carla Gugino is no stranger to horrors. She's been in just about all of Mike Flanagan's recent releases. Now she's in the supernatural horror Lockbox, or if you're in most places outside of the US, Winthrop. It's hitting theaters in limited fashion, so is it worth checking out? Seeking peace after her mother's death, Ellen retreats to a rural town and takes in her severely traumatized cousin, Winthrop. Their fragile domestic balance shatters when an erratic neighbor warns that Winthrop is dangerous. As strange phenomena escalate, Ellen must put everything on the line to defend Winthrop. If you're into Munchies, stick around till the end because I got a new sweet treat to try out. So, in addition to Gugino, this also stars Lou Taylor Pucci. Now, you might recognize him from things like Thumbsucker, 2013's Evil Dead, American Horror Story, and Physical. Now, here, Gugino plays Aunt Ellen, which kind of feels weird having her referred to as that because Pucci, who plays Winthrop, he doesn't appear to be that much older than Ellen. Not that any of that makes any difference or matter in the slightest. Now, the story, it's a slow-burning type of build, where strange or off-kilter things appear in shadows or reflections, but there's zero explanation, all while we watch Ellen kind of assimilate into her new surroundings. Once Winthrop comes into the picture, there's a general uneasiness about his presence. He's quiet, but cagey, and despite knowing that he is suffering from PTSD, he comes across as just off. Then a neighbor interjects herself into this family dynamic, and things get weird from there. So if that sounds a bit choppy of a premise, the movie's even more so. There are so many small vignettes and segments that only give us a portion of the story. So even when they're all combined and then put in order, there are still a bunch of massive holes that are left gaping. Many story elements just don't make sense, and then are completely unnecessary for the narrative. For example, one of the very first scenes we see is Ellen walking into this church and speaking with the priest. She's introducing herself and then immediately offering to run some sort of rummage sale. Why? It's not important because the only other mention of it is to place an item in a location that could be part of an investigation later in the story. And I think the priest makes one more appearance and is never part of the larger story. Then there are also times when police are investigating. And while the inquiry makes complete sense, their mannerisms, dialogue, and behaviors, they're unnatural, which then ends up breaking any sort of immersion that the story may have been developing. Not to spoil things, but there's also the abrupt appearance by individuals in the latter half. They just pop in out of nowhere and give the lamest explanation for their presence. And while that's bad enough, the story just kind of goes with it, never developing any sort of background or foundation for why they're there. And this is really a shame because I wanted to like this movie. Pucci displays a very convincing persona that is deeply affected by trauma. I mean, he's skittish, tightly wound, and fragile all at once. He looks as though he could snap at any moment and destroy you, but also, if you said something mean to him, he'd just crumble into pieces. And there's even a decent beginning for the building blocks of his trauma. And it's layered. Had the story chosen to exploit this angle and then use it to build from, instead of only superficially touching on it, there could have been way more angst and tension, along with troubled sympathy. Gugino's talent is wasted here. The writing completely lets her down, relegating her to become a weak and timid character who should be way smarter, but acts against all logic. I mean, even the central lore on which the entire narrative rests, it's convoluted and ineffectively utilized. And it's not like there isn't something to the story. It has this dark premise, but chooses to approach it in ways that counteract the storytelling progression, which in turn create a lackluster and wanting plotline. Pretty much the only things that this film has going for it are the special effects and the imagery. So many times there are brief and creepy visuals that appear as flashes in windows, mirrors, even down hallways. And what we see is typically vague and fast, but also usually enough to get a general sense that whatever it was that appeared and then left, we want it to be completely and forever gone. Now, towards the finale of the film, we get to see some rather unsettling and creepy items that are certainly the stuff of nightmares. But because of how the story is structured, the entire third act feels as though it was just this last-minute addition to create a purpose and climax. So while having disturbing representations is spooky, they're not nearly as horrifying as they could have been with a more organized presentation. Unfortunately, this isn't something to catch in the theaters. While the movie does have the bones to craft something compelling and haunting, the writing and the progression just leave about every one of those bones dangling in the wind, barely connected, if at all, and then threatening to collapse at the slightest breeze. Gugino is underutilized, especially with her talent for creepy gothic dramatics, and Pucci is let down by the scripting, despite building a persona full of trauma and fear. While the imagery and effects are grotesque and ominous, they're not enough to rescue the rest of the film for delivering an uninspired and choppy attempt at supernatural horror. There's no sex, some very brief nudity, a lot of profanity, and then some gory violence. I give Lockbox, or Winthrop, 2 out of 5 couches. So what's a supernatural horror that has stuck with you long after watching? Trying to avoid saying The Exorcist or The Babadook. I mean, those are wildly disturbing, but I want to see if there's anything unique out there that I haven't explored. Let me know in the comments below. All right, now, as promised, I have got a munchie. This is from Korea. It's turtle chips, and they are the Choco Churro flavor. So let's just see here. I did open it up before just to save time. It smells kind of chocolatey. The appearance is not very appealing. I don't know if I can focus in on that or not. There we go. Well, it looks like it has a face on there. Anyway, it looks like a rolled, I don't know, Chex. You know, the cereal Chex, something like that, covered in sugar, covered in chocolate. So light and fluffy like a churro. Wild. Because you see how brown it was. It looks like chocolate. Very, very, very faint chocolate taste, but I get a very good churro flavor to it. A little bit of cinnamon in there, but it's still got that dough, that fried dough taste. These are really good. I got these at World Market, Cost Plus, if you're old school like me. They were in the international section, which is where all the food is. They're from Korea. I don't know if it's South or North Korea, but I guess South, maybe. I don't know. Can North Korea? It doesn't matter. These are really good. They're turtle chips, chocolate churro flavored. Yeah, this is a very, very good snack. Highly recommend. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me. As I chew. Bye.